welcome.
Thank you. Great to see you.
You too. Come on up.
Boy, what a plane ride coming in. That was beautiful.
That's a pretty neat flight from the Michigan over this way.
Yeah, I'll say. Yeah, pretty setting. Now you're here kind of on your own little island, it looks like, huh?
It's a little peninsula. We have 13 acres. The lodge itself sits on about 3 acres between this structure, the guide shed, and another cabin out back.
Okay.
But we actually have 13 acres total.
Well, we're going to be here for about 4 or 5 days. Kind of give us a little bit of idea of what we're going to be doing while we're here.
This is a pretty neat time of year. The sockeye are running in full swing. And so we'll be chasing a lot of sockeye salmon. A lot of our guests really like to chase the sockeyes.
In fact, I've got distinct instructions for my partner to bring back red salmon for him because that's his favorite.
And that shouldn't be a problem. We've had one day we had over 100,000 sockeyes come in one day. So we've got pretty good numbers coming in right now. One of the other days we'll be chasing Arctic char. They congregate below and above the rivers,
Okay.
Where the rivers come into the lake, and where the lake above them come into the river. They're chasing smolt. As the smolt are moving, the Arctic char will congregate and form around there, and it can be very hot action.
So now in Arctic char are the ones that don't go back into the ocean. Is that
Correct.
true?
Correct.
Okay,
Arctic
then
char and dolly varden, a lot of times they're used interchangeably depending on locations, but for our specific area, Arctic char stay in the lake system year round. Dolly varden will come in to the system, spawn, usually more in the August time frame.
Okay.
And then we'll also do a lot of rainbow trout, grayling, and if you guys like, we use a little Arctic northern pike as well.
Yeah.
So,
I've been known to throw a few flies at those. Now, will we be doing quite a bit of fly fishing?
it can be primarily fly fishing,
Okay.
But we do offer spinning and gear fishing for guests as well.
Okay.
A lot of our guests like to use spinning gear for Arctic char. It's really whatever you want to do. We can do any of the above methods.
We're up for a little bit of everything. I love to fly fish, but I know that some people either are scared of the fly because they've never done it before. But you know, a lot of lodges I go to, by the end of the week, people have never touched a fly rod before are saying that was the most fun I've ever had with fishing. So,
Yes, and we're very fortunate, particularly on the Agulawak River, a little early, but known for the best dry fly fishing in the whole state of Alaska. Extremely productive system, largely due to the number of salmon in our system. But as the water warms up a little bit, and as the bug activity increases throughout the course of the summer, the dry fly action picks up tremendously. This time of year, we're swinging more sculpin patterns for rainbows. But fly fishing out here can spoil you in comparison to lower 48.
not bad.
So good opportunity.
Well, let's go in and look at the inside of the lodge.
Sounds good.
Yeah. How many guests can you take at a time?
We generally do only 8 to 10 guests at a time.
Okay.
We like the small lodge setting. We can take more than that, but usually 8 to 10 is our max.
Okay.
And we enjoy the small family atmosphere, and keeping it around that number allows us to be able to get in around and do a variety of things as a small operator.
Great. Okay.
Accommodate 3 guests, and then we do have a private suite for couples.
I see.
And that way, if we get some couples, we can either give them private suites or shared accommodations
yeah.
like this.
Yeah. So Rob, here we are on our first morning of fishing here at Bearclaw Lodge. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing today.
Well, what we want to do today is we're going to target sockeye salmon and Arctic char. And as we make our way up the river, we're going to look and see if we see good numbers of sockeye salmon running along the shoreline. If we see good numbers, we'll stop and start fishing for them. If we don't see good numbers, they kind of come up in waves and spurts. We'll go ahead and make our way up and go for some Arctic char, and then we'll check the river back. And as we get good numbers of sockeyes coming in, then we'll switch gears and start catching those guys.
Yeah, we fished for just a little bit last night as we got here to the lodge, and didn't take the cameras out to kind of get a feel for what we're in store for. And we fished at the inlet to the river we'll be going up today, coming into this to the lake behind us. And you should have seen the schools of smolt swimming around, and the Arctic char were just gulping, and the gulls. Between the gulls and the char, it was boils, boils, boils all over. So I can imagine what that fishery can be.
Yes, sir.
So okay, let's get
go.
in the boat and take off. So Rob, we're kind of on a point this on the side of this lake. And what are we going to be targeting here?
We're going to target Arctic char, and what we're doing here is, as the smolt, the baby salmon, are making their way through the system heading out to the ocean, they come around this point. There's some underwater features that create some underwater currents and back eddies where the char will hang out and ambush the smolt as they're making their way through. So as they come around this point, we'll occasionally see balls of bait fish come up and the char chasing them as well. The birds that we see out here, the gulls, are also an indicator of bait fish moving through. They hang around waiting for the same thing.
Okay, and so we're using a minnow pattern basically?
Basically a smolt pattern. Smolts are generally kind of got an emerald color on their back with a pearl undercolor. And so we're just imitating smolt patterns. With spinning gear, we have flies that we use the same thing when we use fly fishing gear.
Okay. So are we letting it sink down here a little bit? We bring it along the top,
Yeah,
I guess depending both.
What we'll want to do, the fish like to strike it on the fall, and so we'll cast it out, let it sink down for 4 or 5 seconds, and then we'll want to lift up, maintain a fairly tight line, but let the bait fall. Okay. And what they tend to hit it on the fall. Now these fish can be anything from really aggressive to just pressure on the line. So as you feel the bait and when you lift the rod up on any given cast, if you feel any kind of pressure, set the hook. There's nothing to really get hung up on. There you go. Good example right there.
First cast. Now tell us basically, for the viewers, what the difference between a Dolly Varden and a char is.
Terms can be used interchangeably across the state, but for the most part, Arctic char remain in the freshwater year-round here in our system. Dolly Varden will migrate up from the ocean, come into the freshwater and spawn, and then head back out into the saltwater. So in our particular area, dollies are saltwater fish that come in to spawn. Arctic char stay in the freshwater year-round.
Okay.
So you can do another one.
Okay.
So they're good. Look at that. So all these are pretty good chunks of fish right here. I mean, these last several ones have all been really nice.
You say that sometimes they'll actually swim in schools of the same size fish a lot?
We think so. We think a lot of them will tend to be, like that one's a good solid 4 pounds. A lot of them with that particular group might be similar in size, give or take a little bit. Real tan colored bottom, really light orange spots on them. And the dollies will be considerably more chrome bright.
And they really have no scales, that's why they're so slippery.
Pretty slippery, yeah.
That would be a bedding match. That's a big fish. What, 18 inches maybe?
Yeah, maybe a little longer. But this is, good 2-pound fish, pound and a half. So.
Now on these spots, for those of you that haven't seen a lot of char or Dolly Varden, see they're almost a silvery spot now, but as they go into their spawn, these will be more of an orange or pink on these guys?
These guys will be more orange.
Okay.
And they'll get burnt orange under the belly. You can see kind of the white leading edge because they're in the brook trout family. They'll develop a little bit of a kype, even the char, as they get in their spawning phase. Orange colored beaks, and they'll get real nice and colorful as well. The dollies will tend to get more colorful than the Arctic char.
Already?
Yes, sir.
After landing numerous Arctic char, the guys decided to move up the river, try their hand at some sockeye salmon, otherwise known as red salmon, which is one of the most tasty eating salmon that there is out there. And by the looks of it, this guy thinks it's a pretty good eating time as well.
I think pound for pound, a lot of folks say these are the best fighting fish in the state. If a sockeye salmon got as big as a king salmon, they say it would be some kind of a pretty good fight.
We're fishing on the main body of the river for sockeye or red salmon. It's a little bit different technique than I'm used to seeing, like on the Kenai or Russian rivers. They're not throwing the big coho flies and doing the lining, as they call it. In fact, I've heard it called the Kenai shuffle a few times, but we're actually using a smaller tandem setup of flies. A lot smaller, with a, what do they call that, Rob? It's kind of like a slinky weight. Slinky weight, if you haven't seen them, it's kind of like a sack full of shot, is what it is. The big advantage of that, if you haven't used it before, is that very easy to bounce along the bottom and not get stuck in the rocks. And when you do, you just go upstream from it, and 9.5 times out of 10, you're going to get it out without breaking the line up. So, floating line with fly rods, and we've been seeing fish go past. But the neat thing about this fishery is that this system has averages almost 1.5 million sockeye that come up in a year. And I guess a couple of days before we got here, they had 100,000, in fact over 100,000 red salmon come up this river system in one day.
A lot of folks like to eat these. They have a nice deep pink meat on them. I'll say 85% of our guests prefer the sockeye of all the species out here. But it's all based on preference. You got to try them all.
Well, as you can see, we had another great day on the river. Rob, I just can't say enough about the fishing opportunities here. We're here in basically the first 10 days of July, and so we've been heavy into red salmon, char. We've got some rainbows, grayling. It's just been fantastic.
Yeah, good opportunity this time of year. And one of the other attractions, of course, is our fly-out camp on the Nushagak River, where we'll target king salmon. And so, for like you said, for this time of year, sockeye salmon, king salmon, Arctic char, rainbows, grayling, all good opportunities.
Now, also, as the season goes on now into August, you also have silver opportunities, right?
We do. Starting in the end of July, the silvers will start making their way in, and they're good on through the 1st of September. Rainbow fishing actually gets better as the summer progresses along, both on the dry fly action as well as they increase in numbers and size.
You know, we caught almost every rainbow we caught was in that 18 to 20 inch range, and it's just they're a little bit thinner this time of the year because they haven't put on the weight, but as soon as these fish start dropping their eggs, those rainbows really start to transform.
Yes, sir, and all that fisheries is largely due to the sockeye fisheries that we have here, because we get so many in our system. They in turn provide all of the resources for all the other species to just thrive.
Well, there you have it. This stop at Bearclaw Lodge has just been unbelievable. We really encourage you to give them a call on your next Alaska vacation. And we're proud to have them as one of our platinum approved outfitters. Very exclusive endorsement that we only give that to lodges and outfitters that we visit, and we give our full endorsement to them. So again, we'd like to thank all of you for joining us on this edition of Sportsman's News Television.